Uh-oh, we are live. We are live. Welcome to the Real Estate Exam Study Group. I am your host, Adam Ashba with Hondros College and broker at Ashmont Realty. And we have a very special guest today. Maggie Nuamah, how are you, Maggie? Thanks for coming on. She's a little nervous, so be easy on her. We're going to be talking about, she just passed her test. I promise I'll be easy on you, Maggie, but she just passed her test and she's coming on and give great tips and tricks to soon-to-be test takers out there right after Thanksgiving. So stay with us. If you have any questions for Maggie, you can also ask live. It's 11 o'clock Eastern time here in Central Ohio. So we're going to talk to Maggie and go over a lot of tips and tricks right after this. Hi, Maggie. How are you?
Hi, Adam. I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, good. Well, thanks for coming on. This is great help. We got some people filing on now, live viewers. So what we're going to do is we're just going to jump into it. Everyone's back from Thanksgiving, so we got to get everyone studying again and ready before Christmas because I have to teach tonight at Hondros, and on Tuesday, a lot of people were asking me about like, oh, maybe I should wait till after Christmas or something to take my test. And it's like, no, just study now because you'll forget it, right?
Yep.
So that's right. So, okay, well, Maggie, go ahead. Tell us, everyone, a little bit about you, what's going on in your life, and how you prep for studying.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on.
My name is Maggie, and I live in Pataskala.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a daughter. I have a 10-month-old daughter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and I had always wanted to do real estate for a very long time, for like maybe 5 years ago. But when I had my daughter, and I'm like, okay, let me do something that I'll be able to have more time, like free time with her. So that's when I thought about doing real estate, and I went to Hondros.
Yep. She has a cute little 10-month-old baby. I've seen it. I've seen her. Yeah. Realtor in training. So you went to Hondros. Though, Maggie, did you do everything online or did you go to the classrooms or virtual?
I did everything online, live stream.
Okay. Oh, yes. You did live stream. Okay. Yeah, because you were in one of my classes, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I can't. Was it appraisal? Maybe I can't remember, but
yes, appraisal. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But so for everyone at home, because a lot of even Hondros students don't know this, but you can actually instead of going in and sitting in on a class, like sitting butt in a seat type class, you can actually watch the instructor from home virtually, just like we're doing today. So a lot of people just don't understand they have it, but it's nice because, you can be home with your daughter, and helping her and or kind of trying to do both sometimes. So you don't have to get a babysitter and things like that. So it's a nice flexible, but yet you do have an instructor that's sitting there teaching live, just like we're doing, and you can ask questions and be a little bit more engaged. So, but now, so when did you start your classes live stream at Hondros? Just so everyone can put timelines on it.
Okay, I started in April, and I didn't get done until July because I had my daughter. I have a full-time job that I've been doing for like 7 years. Yeah. Actually, I have 2 full-time jobs. Yeah.
How many full-time jobs, Maggie?
2.
2 full-time jobs, and you have a 10-month-old daughter.
Yeah, that's another full-time job, so that's 3.
And somehow you still figured out how to study and pass your test. So it's doable, right? It's doable.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're coming on, letting people know, because a lot of us have a lot of excuses why we can't study, and there's always something going on, but you can do it. You just got to be diligent. Well, can I ask how did you study? I mean, are you a genius and everything you looked at, you automatically remembered and you passed your test? But I mean, how did you study? I mean, how did you have a lot going on? How did you study?
Okay,
Some
so
tips.
for me personally, when we did the live stream, it was I didn't really like get in everything that I needed. So I started with reading the books and it was kind of complicated for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I downloaded Prep Agent. So I paid for the
Okay.
Prep Agent. So when I'm at
Okay.
work or anywhere, I start like going through answering some questions and also use the CompuCram, which was really helpful. So if I
Okay.
read a if I read a page or a chapter, then I'll go to CompuCram and I know they divided everything like the questions based on the chapters. So if I read chapter one in the law book, then I'll go to the CompuCram and answer some questions and all that. And one thing I did was also study the keywords.
Okay.
I
I'm gonna.
didn't use
Can I pause
I,
you?
I I never open my flashcards.
Oh, okay. Oh, you had the flash. Okay, I'm gonna back up a little bit because you did it a little different because you pulled in Prep Agent. So, so do you remember how much prep? Because we get this question a lot on the group about Prep Agent. Is it worth it? Do you feel it was worth the money, or it was almost like too much? Like you got too much. You had the CompuCram, your flashcards, your keywords. Like, do you think you just like had too much information, or do you think Prep Agent was worth the money?
Um, to me personally, it's worth it,
Okay.
but the only difference between the prep agent and the actual exam is not the same question. Like the wording is not the same. But if you understand it, then you can answer the questions at the center. And I didn't do the prep agent until I was done with my classes at Hondros. So when
Okay.
I was done with my classes, I wanted something to add to my curriculum. That's when I started watching YouTube videos on the prep agent. So when I started watching, because on the YouTube videos they go over questions and it was like live. So they go over questions and explain the answers. I'm like, okay, this sounds good. So I started looking into the prep agent. That was when I subscribed to it and paid. So to me personally, it's worth it because I didn't
Okay.
do the PS because I got to know the PSI last minute and I didn't want to spend no much more money again. So
Yeah.
I just
At
stuck
that
with
point.
the computer and the prep agent. But to me, the prep agent is good. Like it
Okay.
goes into details with everything. It gives you scenarios, but just that the wording is not the same. But if you understand the keywords, if you're able to practice the keywords on there,
Mm,
and
okay.
if you meet a question, because the keywords that you see or you read about, you won't see the same wording in the actual exam. They will put it into a scenario. So
Uh,
you just if you know what it means, then you can answer it. Yeah.
Yeah, like you actually instead of memorizing it, like you actually knew and understood it. And I think,
Yes.
yeah, back in 2019, for everyone that's jumping on, so we have people live watching. If you have any questions for Maggie, you can ask them. You know, you don't. You can be anonymous if you want to. If you can ask live questions, and Maggie will answer them while we're here. Do you remember how much Prep Agent was for people at home? Because that'll be a question I know. They'll say, "How much is it, Maggie? It's worth it." Because people spend a lot of money for the edge, on tests. Do you remember
Yeah.
roughly?
I think they have a monthly subscription and they have 3 months or you can buy it outright. So I think I bought it outright because I didn't want it to do the monthly.
Okay.
But I think I forgot how much it was, like 69.99 or
Okay. Under
I'm
100.
not kind sure.
Okay.
But to me, because and when you go on the prep page and they have like videos, even the maths, they have like videos like him sitting there. They use like cartoons and all that to explain the maths. They have like these cartoons with the house, with money, with like so you see how it's working there. Like it's fun.
Okay. They make it
Yeah.
like fun and interactive. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So then, but you bought Prep Agent later. So while you were studying, because with Hondros, you took your book, you would read the chapters, and then when you read your chapters, you would go to CompuCram on that section to kind of like reinforce what you were
Yeah.
learning. Is that what you were doing? Okay. And then
Yes, that's right.
so you kind of did that with all the chapters, and then you did obviously you did live stream to get your credit because you got to like
Yeah.
sit. Okay. Did you feel that live stream help supplement, or did you just do live stream to kind of just get your credit hours? Does that make sense?
Um, can you come again?
Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Did you feel that the live stream helped you, or was it more like you got more just by reading the book and doing the CompuCram? Like, what helped you the most? The live stream or just
Um,
reading the book and doing CompuCram?
One thing I didn't like about the live stream was most of the time the instructors, most 10 of the speakers, so you can't speak, so you have to type in a question. So if they are teaching or anything, you have
Yep.
to type in questions. And mostly, like, I feel like if I talk, I'm able to, I mean, ask questions
I
more than just
100%.
typing it.
Yep.
Because yeah, and most of the instructor, I know you, for instance, you have the mic on and we can talk, and but
Yeah.
most of them turn it off because other people will be on live stream and they be driving, they will forget to turn their
Oh,
mic off,
I know they do.
and yeah,
Yeah. You're yelling at
they
their
will be at
kids in the
home,
back.
the mic will be on, yeah, they'll be doing like
Yeah.
something else. So I think that's why most of the instructors choose to turn it off
Yeah.
and just type in the questions.
Yep.
But that's the only thing I didn't like about the live stream.
Mhm.
That I thought maybe if I had done the classroom, it would have been better because. But with my daughter, I thought like, okay, let me just do the live stream. But
Yeah.
it
I
helped.
think it's more flexible. So yeah, I think anyone at Hondros specifically, I talked to the head of instructor, Frank Fields, my boss there, but they're okay with instructors if you want to be able to ask questions verbally, just ask at the beginning of the class. Could we, if we raise our hand, and could we put ourselves off unmuted and ask a question? And because I agree, I think it makes the class more interesting, because if you're just sitting up there talking and there's no interaction
Yeah,
but like a chat box, it's just a little bit more boring. So so you completed it, Maggie, you started in April and you finished in July, your
yeah.
classes. And then how, once you finished, how do you feel about like studying afterwards? Did you think it was overwhelming? What are some things that you did after your classes were done to try to prep for your exam? You talked about keywords, like you memorized the keywords were helpful. Is there anything else
Yeah.
that was helpful?
Okay, so one thing I did that I wouldn't like advise anybody doing is I waited so long to take the exam. So when I was
Mm-hmm.
done with the classes, for some reason I think I lost interest because it was too much.
Yeah.
Because I saw the law book, I saw the PMP book, the appraiser,
Yep.
the finance, and I'm like, I think I really forgot everything they taught in the classroom. I just remember some, but I just lost interest. So, and I had to choose a broker to work for. So I started
Mm-hmm.
interviewing brokers, and everybody like,
That's a
oh,
lot.
just study on your own. Like whenever I interview a broker, I'm like, do you have any study plan for your agents, your new agent? They're like, nah, just study on your own. Just read your hundreds book.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of lost interest. I'm like, okay, let me just wait. So when I finished in July, I had to wait till October to take the test. So when I met with you and we talked about it, and you had me on the plan, and that really also helped. And I also did the karma 100. So I did
Mm-hmm.
two. So what I would advise is also to do maybe twice, because I did
Oh.
with the
Mm-hmm.
different instructor, and I did I think 3 weeks later I took again with a different instructor, and it was a huge difference because every instructor have their own way of telling you how to
Yeah.
study, and yeah, and it
Yep.
was really helpful. Yeah.
So you did the can't talk today. Crammer twice. So you did the crammer
Yes.
twice, right, Maggie? Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, what? Because if anyone, the crammer is an all day thing. It is absolutely exhausting. It is all day.
Yeah.
And I tell people, just be prepared. It's absolutely exhausting, and you need a couple days after just to like take a break because it's too much. Now the thing is, Maggie, did you take the crammer twice because you went a long time? What you finished in July and you're in October, so you got August, September. You got 3 months. Would you recommend someone going that long with after they finish their classes to take their exam? What would you think would be a nice what would you recommend people do once you've passed classes? How soon should they be ready for their exam?
I feel like when you pass the classes, you should, right after you're done with your classes, just take the crammer
Mm-hmm.
right after. If you have the
100%.
time, just take the crammer right after.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest taking the crammer 2 times, because
Okay.
all the instructors have their own way of teaching. It's the
Yeah, that's
same
good.
questions. The grammar is the same questions, same answers, but the explanation is different from the instructor to instructor. So if I
Yeah.
had known, I would have done it earlier, because it keeps your mind fresh. And I think what will really help is if you schedule your exam, try to take your grammar maybe within that week to keep your
Mm-hmm.
mind fresh, because you're going to learn so much at the grammar. You're going to learn how to answer questions, how to eliminate questions. And in the grammar, that was when I got to know, if you see this answer with this word in it, just know that that is the wrong answer.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you see probate, if you see death and you see probate in the answer, that is probate. So it keeps your
Yeah.
mind fresh and all that. So yes, I would really recommend taking your exam right after, like maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It really helps. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Don't
agree.
wait like
Well, the thing about it is, and you mentioned it, and we're taking this conversation a little bit more in depth, and you're doing great, Maggie. So you're not? Are you nervous still? I think you're doing
no.
great. Yep.
I have
Um,
fun.
There you go. But I think one thing is, and I like, because we don't dive into this too much, is about the timing of it. And you said it best. You said, and everyone's the same in the same boat. You said, I just started losing interest in it, like because it's boring. It's boring,
Yeah.
guys. Like this information is not fun. And when teaching night classes, when you get to 9:30, 10 o'clock at night on a cold December night tonight, people are gonna,
Yeah.
no matter how many jokes you make, and people are like, ugh, I'm like, let's go home. So you don't
Yeah.
want to, and I use this metaphor all the time. It's like we shove your head full of this not information, and then there's a hole in the back of your head, and then as you shove your information, it just slowly starts coming out. And then what you want to do is you got to time it, and that's why we put all of our
Yeah.
agents on a plan, like a timeline. And your brokers, like you mentioned, your broker needs to have you on a study plan. They have to. You need to demand it, because if you don't, you'll just study all those books over and over and over, and then and I'll pick on you, Maggie, but like, July turns to August, then August to September, then
Yeah.
September to November, and then, or October, then November. And then it's like, it's Christmas, and you forgot it. And then guess what? You are going to have to study all over again. You're going to have to start kind of from scratch almost. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
made this
And
point.
one thing I will add is, when I was done in July, and every time I'll pick my book, and I didn't know which one to study, because I'll move from this chapter and I get so confused, move to the other chapter,
Mm-hmm.
and it was too much. So when I met with my broker, the best. But I met with my broker, and they put me on the study plan. So the very day that I got the topics and everything, I'm like, why did I wait this long? This is what I need.
Yeah.
So that was when I knew this is what I need to study. This is what I need to study.
Right.
And I just picked my law book, my PNP book. I never opened my finance book. I never opened my appraisal book.
You did.
It was just this book.
Yeah.
Because when I take the book, I know where I'm going. I know what I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
study. So whenever I
Yeah.
study this chapter, I just go straight to the CompuCram, go through the same chapter that I went through. I answer questions. And the key one thing I used about on the CompuCam that really helped me was the keywords. I did the matching because um, when I see the words and I have to match, it really helped me because I know which one is going, and it was helpful. And then when I'm at
Good.
work too, and I have free time, I have the prep agent on my phone, so I'll just be going through. Yeah.
Yeah, you got down to business, didn't you? Took a little
Yep.
break and you got down to business. Now, are you a fast test taker or slow, or did you have plenty of time, Maggie, to take your test? Did it feel like you had plenty of time, or did you feel rushed when you took your test?
I was confident,
Mhm.
and
Huge,
uh,
huge part of it.
yes. And one mistake that I did was when I was going to take the test, I I had in my mind like, okay, so I don't mind if I pass one and I fail one. That's okay with me because it would give me time to study for the other, which I wasn't supposed to tell myself that because that made me pass one and lose one for real. So my
Oh, you mean
first
like your
time, I
attitude, your attitude going in it, or the confidence?
yes.
Okay, got
So
it.
I
Okay.
was but with the national, I was really confident and I really studied the national. So like for 2 or 3 weeks before I took the exam, my focus was on the national. Because most people feel the national. So my focus was really on there. And I told myself, okay, let me go past the national. If I feel the taste that the state, that's okay. I will study for that, which I wasn't supposed to do that. And for real, it
Mhm.
happened. I failed the state and I passed the national.
And that's usually
So
the opposite. Most people don't do very well on national, and then they
yeah, and I failed
blow
the
they
state by 3 points.
yeah, yeah. It a lot of it's confidence. Very few people go in to take their exam that say, and I'll say, "How do you feel about it?" And they'll say, "Oh, I don't know, not good. I don't think I'm going to pass." And they usually don't. It really
Yeah,
comes to that. And if you really feel that way, if you can reschedule, just reschedule it, because I think you're throwing away, 100
yeah,
bucks or $130 or whatever. But it's just you're just don't go in and take the exam just to sit for the exam. It's too much money. You
mhm,
need to just save and respend. So, um,
yeah.
is there anything that and we'll kind of leave it at this, but is there anything that you studied a lot on? You're like, gosh, what a waste of time. Like you kind of wasted time studying stuff that just wasn't important. Does that make sense?
Not really. Since my broker got me on a study plan, everything that I studied was what I met.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I call it quality studying over quantity. There's only about
Yes,
13 to
that's
14 chapters in your Hondros books that are really covering the exam. Now, you're not going to get 100 on your exam. That's not what I'm saying but it's majority of it. And if you know those chapters, you'll be really good shape. So, well, I do have one more question before we leave, because everyone wants to know how many math questions did you have, Maggie? Do you remember how many math questions you had?
I think I had like 5 or 6.
Okay. Yeah, that's not
And
too
it was
many.
it was pretty easy.
I
The
was just gonna
math,
ask.
I did prep agent, which explained most of the math, but I didn't really study the math. But the math that I got was pretty easy to me. Yeah.
It is usually.
And
Yep.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was. And the ones that the ones that I got was I think I wrote it down.
Yeah. That'd be helpful if you could
Um
like tell people what kind of math questions. But it is. Maybe you get one hard one. And if you do, take a guess and just
yeah.
move on. You might get it wrong, but who cares? Just move on to the next one.
Yeah.
You have it written down what you had, Maggie?
Yeah, I think one was calculating taxes. So if a seller paid the taxes within the year and they're selling their property in maybe February or April, how much is going to be debited and credited?
Appreciate
That's one thing I saw. And another one was buying down points.
it. Okay.
So if they will give you the loan amount, and if the buyer wants to buy down points, how to calculate the points down,
Yep.
and also um, the one and another question that I saw in the CompuCram. No, the Crammer, sorry.
That's
In the
okay.
Crammer, it was the math question, the Crammer, and I saw the same as that. It wasn't the same wording, but different, but the same style. In the exam was selling your house, and it will give you how much you have on your first mortgage, how much you owe on your second the seller also on the second mortgage, the percentage they're paying to the broker, and how much the seller wants, the profit they want. So it asks to calculate how much the house is going to be selling for.
Okay.
It's one,
Minus.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, like
yeah,
so you'd have to figure out commissions and minus mortgages, and that's that's something that's kind of real world stuff. Honestly,
yeah,
that's kind of real world. Like, you don't have to know like
yeah,
the exact numbers, obviously, when you become a realtor, but
yeah.
you kind of have to understand how that works, right? Because
Hmm.
if they don't have enough equity in their house, how are they going to pay the realtors? That's a big
Yeah.
problem, right? So yeah, well, good. Well, Maggie, I'll tell you, this might have been the longest one that we had. You were nervous coming on, but I think this might have been the longest. But we took it down a little different road and made it more in
Yeah.
depth, and that's great. I know this is going to help a lot of people out. So, but that being said, thank you, Maggie. You're so
Thank
wonderful. We're so
you.
glad to have you, and you did a wonderful job. So, well, thanks
Thanks for
guys. Make
having
sure,
me.
yeah, you too. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to our Facebook channel, the Real Estate Exam Study Group. Holidays are coming on. We'll have another special guest in a couple weeks, and really just keep pushing through, even though it's the holidays. Just don't take too much time and lag time. I think that was the greatest thing I took away from the conversation. So other than that, guys, have a great week, and we will see you all very soon.